Hi, and welcome to the coloring process of this fourth comic. Hi, my name is Escobar. I'm a storyboard artist from the Simpsons television show. I've been working on the show for over 25 years now, and I'm here to empower you. So here it is. I've been talking about it from the very first of these three videos. This is where things started falling apart on me because I didn't really work out the values as well as I thought I had. So I had an idea of what the lighting scheme and what the values were. But what I hadn't realized is that during the flatting stage, because I'm using the new method, and I'm not using this as an excuse, but it was part of the problem way before I even started using different colors. And I've only been using it for like what? This is the second time I was using different colors. But because I was using different colors, it made it kind of exacerbated the problem, which was that when I put the lighting in, I think the values of the colors themselves, because they were so bright and garish, they kind of gave me a false impression of what was actually happening with the values. And so I had certain elements where I knew that where the light was going to be coming from, but I wasn't. And this is where I really fell apart. This is where the coloring process overall, from the very first comic all the way down to this moment, has been flawed. And that is that the values weren't broken up into foreground, middle ground, background. So usually what you do with colors is you separate them into those three elements. You have a background, which will have a value. And the value you break down in general, a good rule of thumb is dark, mid-tone or middle, like a gray, and then white. And those are the values that you play with. And sometimes the background could be the white, and then the foreground could be the black, and then the middle tone would be the gray. Or sometimes the gray is the foreground, and the background and the middle ground is black, and the background is white. And I mean, you can play around with it depending on what you want, what your center of interest is, etc. I wasn't even thinking of any of that stuff. So every single time I got to the point where I'm coloring, things, when I put the colors, sometimes nothing worked. The previous comic I colored just kind of fell into place. It just kind of magically worked because I accidentally did it right, but I didn't consciously do it right. So this is a problem, that this video, when you'll see it, this is where things fell apart, and this is why it fell apart. So let me show you what it looked like and how much struggle it was just to explain what happened. And here's a thing about this video. There's a moment in it that it skips through time, and I just automatically get to the solution and I just finish it off. It is because I forgot to press record every single time I went to the computer, because sometimes it would just be a noodly little thing, and then I would just go back and I would just noodle on it a little bit more, and then I would just go back and because it was bugging me the whole time. So yeah, let's get to the video and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so here we have the lighting. Yes, the very first thing that I did was add a texture. I needed it to, look like a watercolor or something. And so I actually chose this really rough texture. So I think this was part of the problem, was that the texture that I chose already kind of had a grayer tint to it, and it was going to tint everything in that direction. Also, here you see me coloring in the character, adding the colors that I'm going to use for the character. And notice I was trying, in attempt to separate his character from all the other characters, his color scheme is very, very neutral, very, very almost grayish, blander colors, a little bit more warmer, not warmer, but earthy colors than almost all the other characters so far. So it also didn't help that not only was he earthy colors, but the entire background was also going to be mostly brown. The reference and the color scheme that I was using had to do with the reference photos that I had, and you often see them in the background. You can see that there's a reference photo of the bar that I was using as my quote unquote model sheet for a bar. So I had these textured walls because the photo that I had, the bar had textured walls, and I really liked that, so I added the textured walls. So here's where things started falling apart. He was so kind of gray. Oh, and here I'm adding a reflection. I just duplicated the colors, turned them upside down, and smudged them, and then that's how I did the reflection on the bar. So now, and then I also took my own paintings, and I put them as paintings in the background. But here's where I was having trouble, because notice that the character and the background are pretty much about the same value. If they feel about the same, he's not really popping out, and that's when I ended up getting rid of the lamp, and I said, you know what, that lamp has to go, because he needs the values need to be working better here. And no matter, and I kept on. You see the sliders and the adjusting and the grabbing and the yanking and the adding layers and then the pulling, and right here at this point all it was pulling and pushing and yanking, and I even convinced myself that I was done and I was going to just color the rest of it the way I did the first panel. And then midway through doing that, I decided no, it wasn't working. I needed to go back and fix the first panel and get those values to really be working, because the further I got, the more, see right here, I went, no, nope, I'm gonna go back and fix it. And what I ended up doing was I opened up a brand new file, and I almost started from scratch. I even tried different textures. I went back to see here I am with neutralizing the selection. I saturated his colors so that they popped more, like the foreground colors now really popped. And then I was trying to really lighten the background. Maybe if I lighten the background, what if I add a blue tint on top of it, and just kind of, will it all come together? And then here's where it skips. See on the left hand side, the reference. I was noodling and realized that what I kind of, a combination of my experimentation on a different file and what I had originally was the way to go. So what I ended up doing was I ended up saturating him the way that I had in my experiment, but I kept the background as dark as I had originally had it in before, because I was trying to lighten it, and lightening it actually didn't help. But if I darkened it, he popped out way more. So it turned out that I needed to saturate the values, saturate the colors so that they popped. See now she's popping a lot more from the background. I also had to make the background way darker so that the light on the background didn't compete with the light in the foreground. So that in essence, I had the background was the black, and the midground or the foreground or the middle ground was the white, and I guess the farthest the other side of the bar would have been the dark gray, but it's also black in a way, or very dark as well. And what that did was it caused a much more of a contrast, which made her pop more. And once I kind of solved that problem, it was gravy. Like I finally was able to just finish the thing. But it took hours and hours. It took well over 8 hours to just color this. It should have been the fastest thing I did, but it took way too long to color 3 panels, just because I didn't work out the values right in the stage before. So the next comic that I do, when I color it, absolutely 100%, I am going to pay way more close attention to the values in the flattening and shadowing stages of the process, so that when I color it, it takes me maybe 2 or 3 hours instead of 8, you know, because it was terrible that it took as long as it did. So I'm learning as I go. You learn it, when you do something, when you're doing a work or an assignment, or you're doing a personal project or whatever it is. It never gets easy. There's always a new challenge. There's always something new, and that's what makes it interesting and fun and exciting. But if you fail, or quote unquote fail, when you come up to challenges the way that I just did, ideally, what you want to do is you take those things and you learn from them, and you make sure that you apply any lessons to your next project, and you just keep moving, and that's how you improve. That's how you get better. And so we'll see how well I do in the next strip. So stay tuned. So when you see the next strip, we'll see how well it goes. And I am in the process, as I record this, of doing the next strip already, and I'm already coming up with drawing problems and challenges with the new ones. So I'll talk about that when I do the video for that. But I hope this has been helpful, and I'll see you next time. All right, bye.